Welcome back, Gemsters. This is another segment here on Gems Podcast, and with me today is Dr. Pamela Ellis, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who she is, and then we're going to dive into this powerful conversation. So, Dr. Pamela is a highly sought after speaker who empowers parents to guide their teens confidently into higher education. Known as the Education Doctor, Pamela Ellis MBA, who also owns her doctorate, has helped over 30,000 families navigate college admissions, ensuring teens find the right fit without overspending, which is key, especially with inflation on the rise, y'all. An award-winning author of the bestseller What to Know Before They Go, College Edition. Dr. Pamela founded Compass College Advisory, which has a 95% success rate in getting students into their top choice colleges, securing an average of 75,000 in scholarships per student. Wow, y'all. As a CEO and consultant, Dr. Pamela's experience with the education system includes advising school districts, community organizations, and institutes of higher education. However, her experience as a mother of three young children, going back to graduate school, provided a unique understanding of how to juggle college, life, and being a parent. And y'all know if you're a mom out there, you're always juggling. And sometimes when you say you need a break, the men don't understand what you need a break with because they're not doing what we're doing. But without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Pamela Ellis.
Genesis, thank you so very much.
My pleasure. And so, Dr. Pamela, before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, I want to give the audience a chance to connect
Mhm.
with you in a fun and personal manner. So, we could either do a rapid fire 10 question game or an icebreaker. What are you in the mood for?
I think I'm ready for the 10 questions.
Okay, we're going to be rapid. Okay. So here we go, y'all. We're playing rapid fire with Genesis and Dr. Ellis. Do 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 do. Question numero uno. What is one word to describe you?
Sincere,
Question number two. Whenever you decided to go back to school, what was the hardest thing?
determining how I would handle childcare.
Question three. What is one piece of advice you would give to a young mother?
Ooh. Um, Take care of yourself.
Question four. Knowing what we know now and with all the stuff going on, not trying to be political, what is one credible site you would tell parents to look for whenever looking for scholarships?
Oh, probably Unigo, UNIGO.
UNIGO, Unigo?
Yeah, and Going Merry. I should mention them.
Okay.
GOINGMERRY.
Okay. I like that. Question five. Thinking about where you are now with your career and the success that you have had, what is one piece of thing you wish you would have done differently?
Prioritize self-care.
Okay, that's a big one. Question six. What's your favorite color?
Purple,
Question seven. What's your happy place?
running,
Running. Question eight. What is one self-care thing you love to do for yourself?
buy flowers.
Buy flowers. Okay.
Yeah.
Question nine. What's your favorite food or cuisine?
Oh, probably Italian.
Okay. And question 10. And this is the pass or play question. Here are the rules. So if you pass, that means you ask me any question you choose. If you play, I ask one last question to wrap up rapid fire. So are you passing or playing?
Uh, I will play.
Okay. Last question, Dr. Pamela. So if money were no object, where would you be headed today in the world?
Singapore.
Singapore. Okay. And there you have it, y'all. You learned a little bit about Dr. Pamela Ellis. She likes to get herself flowers. She loves to run. She will be heading to Singapore if money was no option. So if she comes across a windfall, she'll be on the plane to Singapore, y'all. And for those new parents out there, or you're getting ready to transition from high school into college, go check out Unigo or Going Mary, right?
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
now that's just a little bit of highlight. You'll have to get the rest of the answers when you hear the replay, y'all. So now we're going to dive into this segment, which is around the work that Dr. Pamela Ellis is doing today. And I'm going to center it around how to, because I'm going to merge it here because I think this
Okay.
is applicable to me as well as those. So I want to talk about how to find the right colleges that feel like home to your teen, but I also want to throw in some stuff out there for the mamas or the daddies that are juggling work-life balance. So I'm going to merge it together because in order for you to be whole and complete to help your children, you have to know how to balance work because sometimes we're missing some of those activities. And it's not that we don't want to be there, it's just we have other obligations that we need to do on the front end in order to provide for them on the back end, if you catch my drift.
I do. I do. And I love starting there in terms of talking about the importance of self-care for parents.
Okay, let's start there.
Hmm.
So for parents, because let's think now we're in a society where it's not just one parent that's working, it's dual parents. So you'll have dual
Yeah.
careers, both parents are working, and then you're raising a modern day teen where everything is
Hmm.
vying for their attention. So let's talk
Yeah.
about how would you advise that modern day parent who's either they could either be a single parent or they could be in a dual career household, how to have that work and home life balance but still be
Hmm.
present for their kid.
Yeah. I think that part of what helps them to be present is making sure that they prioritize their self-care. And one of the tenets of it that I would say that's so important, Genesis, is recognizing that self-care doesn't have to be something that takes hours and hours to do. And it's something that can be like almost like 5 minutes a day that can make a world of difference in terms of the rest of the day and being able to be present. So one of them that's really simple could be a gratitude practice. That helps you emotionally for sure and mentally, just taking a few moments to think about and write down what it is you're grateful for. And when I talk about buying flowers, that's part of environmental self-care, where it's just being able to look at something beautiful and to have that sense that, yes, I'm worthy of flowers. And so it's those kinds of simple things that we can do on a daily basis that make all the difference in terms of us taking care of ourselves so that we can be fully present and take care of our kids and others that we love.
I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that. The self-care and just bragging on ourselves, whether it's starting a gratitude journal or maybe going for a walk,
Yeah,
meditating, I would say
yeah,
a massage or
yeah.
booking that mani-pedi or whatever gets you
Mhm.
refueled and rejuvenated, Gemsters. I
Yeah.
think that is what Dr. Pamela is starting with is that
Hmm.
TLC in order for
Yeah.
you to show up whole and complete so you could be
Yep.
approachable for your teens. Another thing I want to talk about with me being a young mom, not young, but like my kids are very young.
Yes.
Um, I look younger than I am, but anywho. So how do we get our kids to see that we can be approachable and they can have certain conversations? Because sometimes
Yeah.
our body language may show that we're cut off or we're reserved when we may actually be deep in thought. And we want them to find a
Yeah.
safe haven and coming to us to talk to us about certain things.
Yeah. I think, just showing our kids that we're listening. And, you know, part of that is just letting them talk without interrupting. without finishing their thoughts in any way, but just letting them talk and feel that they are being heard. I think that's one of the key things in terms of us being approachable and also supporting them where they are. And Genesis, I have to share this one, just quick story from when my youngest was, in their teen years. And they were talking about an issue that was going on at school with some other students. And I immediately jumped in to, give a suggestion because I'm just like, I remember being in that position. I'm just going to give a suggestion on how this can work out better. And oh my goodness, when I said something, they snapped and they just said, stop trying to solve my problems. And I was like, what did I do wrong? And that's exactly what I did wrong, was jumping in to solve. And I think that sometimes we as moms do that, because we have this, sense of empathy and we want to help and be supportive, but it's like, no, let it happen, let them talk through it without solving, and that lets them know that you're listening.
And I like that you shared that, and it's going to lead into this next question that I have for you, Dr. Pamela, is because now that they're approaching and they're navigating hashtag adulting and their adulthood, they're trying to leave home and they're trying to navigate, oh, do I go to a community college? Do I go to trade school? Do I go to a four-year college? What does that campus look like? Do I live on campus or off campus? How do you get them to really share their true desires when it comes to college without feeling like they're trying to do something to check the box? Like, for example, um, I live close to Aggie Land or close to UT. Those are or U of H. These are some big colleges that are within my neck of the woods. So some parents, they're like diehard Aggies, and they're like, oh yeah, we're taking them to the college campus. But then that kid may feel pressured to go to Aggie Land because that's where their parents went to or other people in their family. So they're like legacy Aggies or they're legacy Longhorns. How can you get them to say, well, actually, mom, I really don't want to go to Aggie Land, or I really don't want to, hook 'em horns, or I don't want to be a cougar, to build that safe space, because I feel like nowadays a lot of parents are taking their kids to their alma maters.
Yeah, that does happen a lot, and it happens younger and younger is what I'm seeing. I had a student that I started working with a few years ago. Her dad brought her in end of eighth grade, and she had already visited 30 colleges. 30 colleges. And as we so often do as parents, it's going to be either the highly selective colleges that we dream about, or it's our alma mater. And, so she had, only visited, like all of the Ivies and all of the highly selected. It was a lot, because by the time she got to junior year, she was just burned out. And that's when it really mattered to go and visit the colleges, was spring of junior year. But she didn't want to do it because she had been burned out from visiting. The other thing that it did, which is something that you alluded to, is it just kind of set it up where she only saw those colleges that she had visited as being ones that her parents would approve of. And that, just really interfered with her thinking and really being able to um, think about it in terms of what she wanted and not what her parents wanted or would approve of. And I think one of the key things for parents to really think about is, number one, letting the teen own the process for sure, and recognizing that it is their process, that they're the ones who will be going away, not the parents, and they need to lead it. I mean, even when it comes to the essays, I will mention to parents, and what I urge them to do is let your teen ask you to read it. Don't just take it and read it and start editing their essay. Let them ask you to read it. And that's all you do is read it when they do. And, the second thing is getting help because, there is a lot of tension around the whole college admissions process already. Parents are stressed, teens are stressed. And typical of teens, they oftentimes, will hear things differently from a third party than they do their parents, and I'm sure, Genesis, you recall that from when you were a teen. It's like your mom will say something and it sounds like Charlie Brown to you. You just don't,
Yes.
you don't hear it. But someone else will say the same thing. And it's just like, wow, okay, yes. I mean, it's just like, I'm working with students and I'll ask them to read something aloud. You know, as a parent, you ask them that, they're just like, what? It just feels weird. But as a third party, I can do that. And the conversations that we're having are just totally different conversations. And it's just like those times when, you may hear something complimentary about your child and you're thinking like, really? Oh, okay. Because you don't haven't seen that at home. And it's the same way with me as a third party in that, they're talking to me about things and I see things in them that, they may not be displaying at home or having conversations with their parents about. And even if it's, a school counselor or a mentor or a coach that they have that can support them, you know, around the college admissions process, then that can alleviate some of that tension that parents may have with their teen and give them a chance to really own the process as opposed to the parent dictating or trying to be the college counselor for them.
And I like how you laid all of that out, Dr. Pamela. And I want to get the audience to think about this way too. So, would you say from your experience and all the knowledge that you have in this space, would you say it's a good question to ask our younger generation, where do you want to see yourself in life, or what do you want to be, to almost reverse engineer it to kind of find that right avenue for them when it comes to that higher education? Because having that question answered by them will almost have you kind of steer them in the direction of where they should look if they're not really sure what avenue they want to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other question that I would add to that, which is one that we always start with, is, if there's a, decision made, the family says, oh yeah, they're absolutely going to go to college, a four-year college, the question becomes, why? Why do you want to go? And having the teen say that for themselves, even if the parent has already said, oh, no, you're going to college because that's what we do. But, letting that teen also know what their why is, because that's going to make a difference in terms of everything else that they do through high school is knowing their why. And it could be that they want to go because they want to have fun, or maybe it's to be independent, is to have a place to study and learn. It could be because they want to make a lot of money. It doesn't matter, but it will at least set that direction and intentionality when they know their why.
Okay, I'm glad I asked that question
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
I always like to start with the end in mind because then it helps
Mm-hmm.
them navigate on the forefront so you're not wasting
Yes.
time and resources, or you
Right.
hear your child's name called on graduation day, they said they were going to school for X, Y, and Z. They have a whole different degree. And if I would have known that, they could have went to school over here.
I know,
Like,
right?
and I'm like, wow, just hearing stories like
Yes.
that from people I know, I'm like, that stuff really happens. And I'm like, okay, I'm closer to 35, two young kids.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up coming home from not Aggie land because my dad wanted me to be an Aggie. I chose UT because I didn't want to be an Aggie. Then I came home after one one summer semester because my brother told my mom it's a party school. Then I was like, okay, fine, I'll go to community college, which was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I went to community college to do all my
Yeah.
basics because you're paying the same price
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, basics are basics no matter where you go, for those of you
Right.
listening. So it's like you can have the big price tag on the basics, or you can have the affordable route
Mm-hmm.
and then transfer
Right.
over. Um,
Right.
but it was just crazy, like hearing from like some of my season friends is
Mm-hmm.
what I call them, my older friends who are like their golden years, and they tell me about their kids or what. I'm like, oh wow. So that's why I
Yeah.
asked that question. And then I want to talk about the importance of savings because we know
Uh-huh.
the prices of things are increasing over time.
Mm-hmm.
So when should folks start to plan because some people have the 502b, some people have other funds, and they're like, okay, we're not going to tell our kids that we have the funds because if they decide not to go to college, we're just going to take our money back. Then there's folks who
Right.
start saving early on, but they put it in a
Mm-hmm.
vehicle where if that kid decides
Yeah.
not to go to college, they could, diversify the funds and use it for
Mm-hmm.
something else. So what have you
Right.
seen work?
Yeah, definitely starting as soon as possible. And oftentimes, that can be the intent to start when they're very young and ends up, oh my goodness, they're already in high school and I haven't started saving. And, yes, there are some things you could still do then, but the key thing to really be able to have your student get money as opposed to you just having to save it and pay it all out is really positioning them from middle school on in terms of the courses that they're taking, making sure that they're in algebra by eighth grade, helping them with using their summer strategically. All of those things position them so that they can get scholarships. And that's a way that they can help with paying for college. And I
Hmm.
love, letting parents know that as well. Because one of the things, Genesis, that oftentimes parents don't know when they're thinking about scholarships, which you mentioned earlier, is that students can start applying for scholarships as early as age 13. So they don't have to wait until senior year. So if they go to a site like goingmerry.com or even unigo.com, I prefer Going Merry because it has a way that you can apply built into the system. With those sites, they have scholarships that start fairly young. And it's, no harm in just going ahead and applying then. You don't have to wait.
Wow, when you said that, my mouth just dropped because I didn't know as young as 13 that you
Mm-hmm.
could start applying. So going Mary, that's Going, and then is Mary Merry or
It sure
MARR?
is Merry.
Goingmary.com. So y'all,
Mm-hmm.
that's a gem. Make sure you write it down,
Yep.
save it, share it. That is incredible that you could start leveraging that as young as 13. And I like the fact that you said prepping them as young as eighth grade, I believe is what you said.
Yep. Middle
So
school years. Mm-hmm.
I know when I went to some high school graduations over the past few years, there were high school graduates that were graduating with their associate's degree because some of them are taking those college ready classes. And I can't remember because I've been out of high school for a while now. I can't remember if they're the AP classes, the advanced placement, or if they're the dual credit classes. What are those classes, Dr. Pamela Ellis, so we could educate the audience to start
Mm-hmm.
looking at those classes for them to get their kids
Mm-hmm.
enrolled in
Yeah, those would be dual credit
dual credit. Okay.
classes when they receive an associate's degree.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then would you say whenever they're prepping for that associate's degree, because I know there's two, if I'm not mistaken, there's the Associates of Arts and the Associates of Science.
Yes. So I I can't speak directly to those because those are going to vary
Okay.
by state and just depending on, the district where you're in school is going to dictate some of that as well. And so broadly speaking, I would say that, what we tend to recommend is that students will take the most rigorous courses they can in high school. So the courses that are most rigorous for them in whatever regard, whether it's the honors, whether it's the AP class that's offered at that school. and exhaust those and then start taking the dual credit courses. And so again, it really varies because some, high schools, your AP classes may not start until junior year. Others will allow it as early as ninth grade. So it really will determine when you actually would have access to the dual enrollment and what specific classes they will have. And so if it's something like offering an English class or some of the other classes in the humanities, then that's going to be of arts as opposed to of science.
Okay, perfect. And thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. And parents out there, I also want to tell you, be mindful of what extracurricular activities you have your kids enrolled in, because I know whenever they are applying for those college applications, they don't want just someone that's, just straight narrow in books. They want to see what are they, the well-roundedness. So like, are they in sports? Are they in Kiwanis Club, which is Key Club, which they partner with service, community service, and etc. So just be thinking about that as well for your teens and let them pick something that they want to do. Whether if they have a healthcare track, they want to say, go down HOSA, Health Occupation Students America. If they're into servant leadership, Kiwanis Club, which is also known as Key Club, or Junior Achievement, or some of those things that are fun, but it also teaches them to give back while they're also building their quote unquote resume in a sense. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Dr. Pamela.
The other thing that I would add to it, Genesis, is not worrying about trying to do everything, but
Mm-hmm.
doing the things that they care about.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's oftentimes, I hear from parents saying, oh, my kid needs to do this, they need to do that. And it's just like, no, you really don't. Just do one or two things that you care about, and that's going to be great. That's more than enough. And you can still get into a great college and get scholarships as well.
I love that you added that because sometimes we as parents, mine aren't there yet, but I'm guilty by being that auntie. Sometimes we could stretch them too thin where
Yeah.
they are burnt out just as much as the parents are burnt out. And they don't want to
Yes.
let you know because they feel like if they tell you, they're letting you down. When in
Right.
actuality, they just want to live up to your expectations. But they're not robots. We're not robots. So we have to give each other some
That's right.
grace.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely so. Definitely
And
so.
it's hard because we live in this society where everything is a highlight reel on Instagram or TikTok
Hmm.
or social media. So you're trying to look at what, being Mary Jane is doing over here or what Susie Q is doing. And you're like, oh, my kid is doing da 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 da. And you're putting these little highlight reels when in actuality you're burnt out, you're tired, you're eating in the car, you're changing in the car, you're going from one activity to another activity. And then before you know it, you're breaking down mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I think that's also important to talk about in this topic as we're navigating, you know, going to college and we're navigating the adulthood and all that stuff, as well as balancing work and home life balance.
It
Um,
is.
I also want to talk about before we wind down, and then I'm going to throw you an audible. How can we as parents, because you said prepare your teen for college even when your schedule is packed, but how can we as parents start to do things as a family? Because sometimes we don't even eat together as a family anymore. We're just eating on the go, or people are eating where they plop in their house.
You know, that's one thing that I probably am the biggest proponent of is making that time to have a meal together. And maybe it's only once a week, so maybe it's on Sunday when there are no other activities that are going to conflict, or maybe it's on, a Thursday evening, whenever, but making that time. And one of the best things you can do for your family to keep you on the same page is just having one of those giant, you know, calendars that you put on the wall or tack on the refrigerator so that everyone can see, kind of when we're going to have this family meal and prioritizing that. And so if, for the most part, if it's not written down, it doesn't get done. It's like if it's not an appointment, on my calendar, it's not going to happen. And so, you know, supporting your teen with understanding as well how to keep a calendar of the things that are important for them to do. And so that could be having that conversation, you know, on a monthly basis. Here are the dates when we're going to do dinner together this month, and we know when the practices are, when the games are. But if you can plan it at least, 3 to 4 weeks ahead, it'll get done, and that makes it happen, and it'll make a world of difference for just the peace in your family when you do that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ellis. So I'm the same way. If it's not on my calendar, it's not getting done because life is lifing, y'all. So Dr. Ellis, I want to throw you an audible before we jump into the CTA, which is a call to action. Based on what we have chatted about so far, is there anything else you want to share with the Gemsters before your call to action?
Uh, no, there isn't, but I am so excited that you're still with us.
Yes. So let's jump into the CTA, which is a call to action. This is Dr. Pamela's chance to give you some homework because what good is hearing this topic if you're not going to apply it and share it? So, what's your call to action for the Gemsters? Their homework.
Oh my goodness, yes. I have a great tool that I'd like them to use, and that's the College Confidence Blueprint. And so they can message me on LinkedIn at the word blueprint 25, and it's at Dr. Pamela Ellis on LinkedIn, or if they're on another platform, they can message me there with Blueprint 25. And what it includes is it's a roadmap for high school. So ninth through 12th grade roadmap of what to do and when, and also includes a communication guide. So how to talk with your team so that they listen to you and how to listen to your teen. So having that difficult conversation about college is what the communication guide can help them with. And I think it's just so important for us as parents to listen to our teens and to let them own the process. And that's what the blueprint will help them in doing.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Blueprint 25, y'all. And it's Dr. Pamela Ellis on LinkedIn and text her the keywords Blueprint 25. Now, before I ask you
Mhm.
how they could connect with you, I want to ask one little quick question. So, do
Sure.
you foresee yourself making anything for middle schoolers for those folks who really want to just get that head start before college? So those sixth, seventh, and eighth graders out there, they want some love, Dr. Pamela.
Yes, there is some love for them as well. And I'm actually making something now for a group in Texas for middle schoolers, and would be happy to share what we're doing with them. And it's similar in terms of a blueprint for them. So,
Okay, perfect. See, y'all, I didn't even know this was in the works, but something discernment led me to ask that question. So
yes.
stay tuned for those who are down there in Texas. And now, Dr. Pamela Ellis, can you share your website and what's that one spot where they could connect with you? All things Dr. Pamela.
Yes, so that's at Compass College Advisory. So COMPASS College Advisory, ADVISORY.com.
And there you have it, Jumpsters. You just heard the one and only Dr. Pamela Ellis, and she shared some great nuggets, some great gems. And my call to action for you is to share this segment with a family member, a friend, or anyone you may know that has a young teen at home that is getting ready to transition and transform into hashtag adulting so we could give them the tools that they need because the youth is our future generation and we have to look out for them. Don't talk to them, talk with them, and not at them, is what I like to say. And until the next time we chat, I'm going to sign out with peace, love, and lots of blessings. Don't forget. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. We're on 40 plus audio platforms, and you can see this video recording on YouTube by going to GEMS, GEMS, with Genesis, like the Bible, GENESIS, Amaris, AMARIS, KEMP. So have yourselves a fabulous day.